It might be because I'm recording it in Blackboard. I don't think Blackboard was set up to have a lot of traffic like this, so I think they're doing the best they can with it. But shh, that's just between me and you guys. In any case, so writing a thesis statement important so you know what you're talking about. Gathering credible evidence and research. We'll talk more about that when we get into writing the essays. Planning and drafting. This one I want to talk about just a little bit. While I am going to have you guys do a working thesis statement, I don't want you guys to be afraid that you're going to have to turn in parts of your paper all along the way. I figure this is college, and you probably did enough of that in high school. So the only things I'll be asking you guys to do usually is turning in a working thesis statement, maybe working on an introduction, which we'll do a little bit of. But on the whole, how you write the paper and how you organize it is really up to you on any of your papers. Some people like to write outlines before they write their paper, and that's great. If that works for you, that I'm one of those people, it drives everybody nuts. I write an outline, and if I don't keep to my outline, I start tripping out, and everybody around here goes, stop doing that. But um, some people can sit and write their paper, just sit down and write the whole thing in one fell swoop. It's all in their head, and that's cool. I am envious of them because I will agonize over it. There's some people who, and this is one of the other things I sometimes have to do. Sometimes, I mean, believe it or not, I absolutely hate writing. I hate it. Like, I don't like to do it. I'm told I'm pretty good at it, but I don't like to do it. So whenever I have a writing project that I have to do, and I'm really upset that I don't really want to do it, I will sit down and start like kind of free writing, free association writing, where I just start out and the very first thing might be, I don't want to write this paper. Exactly. And I'll start talking about all the reasons I don't want to write the paper or why I think it's stupid or whatever. But once I start writing all that out, I just write whatever comes into my head. And it could be a grocery list, but whatever. But once I get that all out of my head, generally speaking, I start writing about the paper, even if it starts out with, I don't want to write this paper because it's dumb, but this is what I'm writing about. And I'll start writing about it. And eventually that turns into what the paper should be about. So it's really cool to take that and then, edit that down and work from there. So whatever way works for you, if outlines work for you, if free writing works for you, if you're able to, yeah, exactly. Try not to wait till the very end to write your papers, guys. Uh, the reason being is because we are going to be doing peer reviews, not for the first paper, but for the last 3 papers, we're going to be doing peer reviews. So while I may give you a end-all, be-all due date for that paper, you need to have as much of your paper done for the peer review. You need to consider the peer review kind of the due date. That way you have it done so that it can be looked at by somebody else. And there's lots of reasons why we do peer review. It's good for both sides, and we'll talk about that more when we do that. So anyways, but that was chapter 2. So chapter 1 and chapter 2 are talking about informal writing and formal writing. Chapter 2 is talking about making sure that you have good developed sentences, that you plan your paper out, that everything's coherent. And then let's see, chapter 6, which we were also going to go over, is, as I get to it, I think I have his tabs. Oh, low stakes writing. Low stakes writing assignments and how we learn from that. This was like exactly 2 whole pages. Chapter 6, very, very short. So part of the reason I wanted you guys to identify low stakes writing is not that it's not important. It's writing that we do all the time. You could be sort of be considered informal, but the fact that you're probably getting a grade on it means that that there's a stake in it at all, so it's why it's low stakes instead of high stakes. So the assignments that you do, the questions and comments and that sort of thing, that's considered low stakes writing. Also, if you do discussion boards for other classes, often will also be considered low stakes writing. Reading responses to anything could be a low stakes writing, and I think the difference being when you write a formal essay, whether it's the narrative or not, that's your high stakes writing. And that's where the grade really matters. I mean, it's important to try and be correct in terms of spelling and punctuation in your low stakes writing, but it's probably not nearly as important as it is in your high stakes writing. So this was all about just recognizing the difference between the two and making sure that that what you do for your formal graded assignments is slightly different, but that your low stakes writing is just as important. Now, your low stakes writing for our class is graded, but it's usually graded on a pass fail basis, meaning if you did it all, then you get 100. If there were 3 parts of it and you only did 1 part of it, then you're only going to get a third of the grade, if that makes sense. If you did half of it, you're going to get half of the grade. So, oh yes, be sure to post that group again. I think it was Nicole who had it. See, it's way up here. Chat's cool, but hopefully we can get that posted again. And if not, I'll look for it and try to post it again for you guys at the end of class. But anyways, so that was what chapter 6 was about. Just kind of making sure that, kind of reinforcing that while our homework might be simple and we might have homework just about every night, it's actually important. Okay, so any questions over chapters 1, 2, and 6? And I know that a lot of you don't have the books yet, so hopefully they're very short and you can read through them and they're pretty self-explanatory. Again, just sort of there. And then also, let's talk a little bit about the 2 messages. So any questions over the 2 messages assignment, which should still be up on your screen unless it's not. Okay. All right, well, I'm going to, got a question. Let's see. It's going to be due, 2 messages will be due on Wednesday. That's correct. I'm going to change the date. So it will be due on the 2nd of September. And yes, you can type it in a Word document. In fact, it's probably best that you do type it in a Word document and just upload the Word document. And I would highly encourage you guys to save your documents in a way that makes sense to you. Obviously, I can't tell you how to, but save it maybe in its own folder for this class, like have a class folder just for stuff that you're turning into me and name it something like 2 messages assignment or something like that, and keep it in there. And that way, if something should happen, and I'm not saying it's going to, but it's possible it might, you can re-upload that assignment if you need to. Yes, everything we do is going to be in MLA format. So if you want to practice MLA format on your low stakes writing assignments, that's perfect. It's really a good idea to do that. And how to set your page up is actually in the writing resources on the left side column, but also it's in the syllabus. No, I don't. You don't have a specific format for the title because the way it works is you upload it to Blackboard and Blackboard will just show it to me. So if your title is all numbers, if that makes sense to you, great. Although I highly recommend putting the name of the assignment in there somehow. So no, the specific title format for the title of your assignment is not necessary. Oh, but if you're talking about like title on the page, you can, when you write it, if you're doing it in MLA format, and you want to put a title on it, just say something like 2 messages assignment or phantom limb pain assignment, something like that. It's up to you. Hopefully that covered both ways. So, all right, so if nobody has any more questions about the 2 messages, I'm going to move on to the second assignment that was going to be for this week. And let's see, hopefully it'll still show you. So the second assignment, and honestly, the bigger assignment was going to be to read Phantom Limb Pain and answer the questions. So our first example of an autobiographical narrative is Phantom Limb Pain. And the PDF is here. Let me, well, actually, let's talk about both of these at the same time. So I was going to, that would have been assigned last Wednesday, but we didn't have class. So it's being assigned now. Now, rather than try and put us off a whole day, I think we can get caught up, especially if I move the due dates. But if I go ahead and make the assignments, they're really not that long. Hopefully you guys can stick with me on this one. So what I'm going to do is assign you guys all of the autobiographical narratives that we had to read, which was only 3. And Phantom Limb Pain is like a page and a half, very short. Journey into Night, let's see the Sidaris readings, which are right here, which we're going to be assigned today anyways. It's a little bit longer, but it's not too bad. And Let It Snow is actually also very short. So what I want you to do with Phantom Limb Pain is to read this PDF, which I will show you guys in just a minute because I'm going to open it up specifically. And then answer, there's some questions on it. I think there's 5 questions under that on the PDF itself under the story. So read the story, answer the questions, turn that in. Where is that on Blackboard? That is under essay number 1, autobiographical narrative link under the assignments folder. That'll be up there. So if in doubt, all of our assignments are in the assignments folder except for the main essay, which will always be on the main page of the module. Okay, so I'm going to see about sharing the Phantom Limb Pain PDF. So let me go back real quick and see if I can share that. I'm going to stop sharing this one and share this one. Okay, here we go. So this is what it's going to look like when you look at it. So it's Phantom Limb Pain. The name of the author is, oh gosh, Chris, I got that one. That's my dad's name. Saknussemm. I can never say his last name. I'm really bad about last names, so hopefully this makes sense to you guys. But usually when I refer to him, I would just call him the author. And again, like I said, this is a very short, see, it's like a page and a half autobiographical narrative, but it is very dense and very full of specific details. So what I want you guys to do is read carefully through it. And then here at the very end are questions. Actually, it's only 3 questions. I was wrong about what you read, and try to answer the questions in complete sentences. Those of you who've already done it, don't worry about it. If you didn't answer in complete sentences, it's okay. I forgive you. But try to answer most of your assignments in as complete a sentence as possible because it just makes it easier to read. And also, it lets me know that you really understand it. But that's Phantom Limb Pain. If there's anything in here which you don't understand or don't know about, because the story does take place in the early 70s, so it makes a lot of references to things that you might not know about, like Raquel Welch. She's still alive. She's still an actress. She's still alive. And you can take a look at this poster. You can Google the poster of Raquel Welch from 1 million years BC and know what they're talking about in that. Also, Johnny Unitas, I don't believe is still alive. He was a great football player, kind of like the Tom Brady of the day, so to speak. He's referenced in here, and some of the other things that are referenced in here too. So if there's anything that you need to look up, be sure to look it up, because again, this story is a little older, but I think it's still, I still think it resonates with those of us today. So any questions about the Phantom Limb Pain assignment? Again, it's just reading the story, answering the 3 questions, and throwing that up there on Blackboard. No? We good? Okay, cool. So let me see. How do you submit it? Okay, let me share. Let me go back to share the screen. No, only Phantom Limb Pain has questions with it. You're going to be reading the 2 Sidaris stories, and you're going to be doing questions and comments on those, just like you would have done for the chapters when you read them. So let me show you guys how to get to the assignment. So going back here, hopefully everybody can see this. You're here under essay number 1, autobiographical narrative, the module that's right there. The assignments folder is right here at the very top. And you should be able to just click in there, and any assignments that are still available to you are going to show up here. Now, obviously, this one was never, the email assignment I put in there so that it shows up in the grade book for me. You never actually saw that, but everybody knows about that, I hope. That was the send me an email from your official Sanjak email. So right now, the only assignments that you have open are chapters 1, 2, and 6, questions and comments, the 2 messages assignment, phantom limb pain questions, which there's the PDF right there, and the questions are on the PDF, and then the Sedaris readings, which I'm going to go ahead and open and show you guys. I know you can't see them just yet. So there's 2 Sedaris stories, and by a guy named David Sedaris, who writes for the New Yorker. He writes for lots of other places too. And if you are familiar with Amy Sedaris, that's his. Amy Sedaris, I think, is his big sister. She's a comedian. She was on Comedy Central. I think she was with Strangers with Candy, I think was the show some time ago. Anyways, she's a semi-famous comedian. She was also, I think she was doing another show on Comedy Central. It was kind of a mockumentary of Martha Stewart type show. But you might recognize her if you looked her up. In any case, that's one of his sisters, and she's actually in one of these stories. But what I wanted to show you guys is that Phantom Limb Pain and Let It Snow and Journey into Night are all autobiographical narratives, and they're all kind of different. And I wanted you guys to see just some of the examples. So we've already looked at Phantom Limb Pain, and that's a story about a 13-year-old guy in 8th grade and what happens to him and what he does and what affects his life, what changes his life when he has some realizations. And we'll have a lot more discussion about that on Wednesday, because I want to make sure we understand the story. But Journey into Night, which I think you should read them in this order. And let me go back and stop sharing this one, and I will share the other 2 PDFs real quick. I think that's the one. Yes, Journey into Night. So this was a story that appeared in the New Yorker in 2007, written by David Sedaris, and it's a little bit longer. Like I said, it's multiple pages. I want to say it's maybe 7 or 8 pages. No, 6 pages. 6 pages. Not even quite 6 pages if you take out the spaces. In any case, it's a story that he's written about a trip that he took from New York to Paris, and it employs the use of flashbacks to tell his story, and the story itself is about something that happened in a 24-hour period. But I kind of want you guys to read it and see all the information that he gives you guys to put you into the plane with him, or even other parts of his life when he's talking about it. It's very descriptive, and it's actually a little emotional. And you might hate him. In the end, you hopefully understand him, but it's really interesting. I think it's a good case for himself, making himself very vulnerable, opening himself up to people who might say, gosh, you're a real jerk, or not. So again, we'll discuss it in class, but for this story, I just want you to do 3 questions or comments. And like I said, it can be anything you don't understand about the story, or it can be something as simple as, gosh, this guy's a real jerk, but at least I know you read the story. Okay, so that's Journey into Night. And let's see, let me go back and share the other. The other story is also by David Sedaris, and it's called Let It Snow. Now, the first story is written by David Sedaris as a 50-year-old man taking a plane trip. The second story is written, same guy, but a different perspective. It's written by David Sedaris, assumably, actually, he's probably not quite 50, because this is about 4 years before the other story that he wrote this. And it's about a guy who's looking back and writing as if he were 10 years old. So remember, when you read Let It Snow, the perspective is from that of a 10-year-old, which can make a real difference when you start looking at what's going on in the story. But I want you guys to read it and give me your initial impressions in either questions or comments. So basically, you're going to have 3 questions or comments for Let It Snow and 3 questions or comments for Journey into Night. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense, everybody. Hopefully. Cool. So try not to go over our time today, but I know we had a lot to cover. Let me make sure. All right, so for Wednesday, I know that seems like a lot. That's 3 messages and some questions and comments and 3 questions to work on if you haven't already with phantom limb pain. But does anybody have any specific questions about the assignments for Wednesday? And again, I am so sorry to double up on it, but I don't want us to get too far behind on anything else. Cool beans. All right, so for Wednesday, we're going to briefly discuss the 3 stories, just like I said, to make sure that we're all on the same page. we're going to try to watch a video. We'll see if it'll work in the sharing app, I think. And we're going to talk about writing dialogue, and we'll be doing, yes, these are for Wednesday, the 3-story, reading the 3 stories and writing questions and comments or answering the questions for phantom limb pain, if you haven't already done that, are going to be all due for Wednesday. And remember, you always have a week to turn them in late for reduced points, but still be able to turn them in. Since I know everything's kind of screwed up, and the first assignment, the reading out of the book, is also, yeah, chapters 1, 2, and 6 we're going to be due today. I did change that one. If you still don't have your book, don't worry. I'm not counting this particular assignment late. So that being said, if you never do the assignment, you'll get a 0. But because we're having issues with the books or making sure everybody has a book, I'm not counting it as late, if that makes sense. So while it is due today, if you did it, great. If not, try to get it to me as soon as you can on that. So any just overall questions about anything we talked about today? I know it was a lot. I'm so sorry.
Okay, just to
Yes, go ahead.
clarify, Let It Snow and Journey Into Night, would it be a total of 6 questions or comments?
Correct. Right. 3 on each. So yeah.
So either or?
Right. And it can be either or. You might have 2 questions about one and 3 or 3 comments about it. It's fine. Let's see. Let's go to turning the assignments. Let me answer that one real quick. You just click on whatever the title of the assignment is. For example, to turn in chapters 1, 2, and 6, you would click on it, and this is what will come up. It'll give you the due date, which is today, the possible points, then there's the instructions. Now, what you can do, the first thing you can do is, if you don't have it written in Word, you can write your assignment right here. But I don't recommend doing this, because if something happens, if your computer glitches out, if Blackboard glitches out when you're in the middle of writing this, it could be lost forever, right? You could have gotten all the way to the end and then it glitches out or something happens and boom, your assignment's just gone and you have to rewrite it. I always recommend using this feature down here where you attach a file and you write it in Word and you save it as a Word document someplace safe in a folder of your choosing, and I always recommend that you back it up to a cloud, whether it's Google or the cloud that you have available to you from Sanjak, and back it up there, back it up on your computer, and upload it right here. So you would say my computer and you would choose a file. Okay, and then hit submit down here. There is a place for comments, and that is for you to communicate with me. Do not put your assignment under add comments. I've had lots of people do that in the past because they don't see the right. Yes.
I'm sorry, we can't see your screen.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. I'm sitting here looking at it. Duh. See, it's that whole sharing the thing. I just wish it would just show you guys what I was looking at. Okay, hold on. I'm getting it. Thank you. Okay, let's go over it again. Okay, can everybody see that? This is
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
excellent. Okay, good. Sorry, I apologize, you guys. I'm still getting used to using all this, so thank you for having patience with me. Okay, so here's the preview. Here's where the due date is, the points. Here's the instructions for each assignment, and all the assignments are like this. And here's the assignment submission. You can click write a submission, and then you can write your assignment right there if you wanted to. Again, this is where I don't really recommend this because if something happens, it could be lost forever. I recommend this where you say attach files, and you just hit browse my computer and you would upload your file. I would recommend you do that. That way you have a copy of it somewhere and it's not gone forever. Also, if Blackboard has a problem with either processing this file or even processing your submission, and I have to clear it out, then you would have to resubmit it. And it's just better if you have a file saved someplace else. Down here is the add comments, and this is right here is for you to communicate with me. For example, if you had a problem with the assignment or if you didn't understand part of it and you wanted to let me know, you could put it there and I would see it, but don't put your assignment down here, okay? If you're gonna write the assignment on this actual Blackboard page, do it under the right submission. But again, I recommend that you actually do attach a file. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay, cool. I'm so sorry. Yeah, when I have the comments, I can't see your comments if I'm in my screen trying to show you guys stuff. And so I have two screens, so I'm just gonna have to move the comments to the other screen. Sorry. Okay, so again, it's all here under the assignments. Chapter 1, 2 messages is right here. Phantom limb pain, when you click on that, it will give you the PDF again, so you don't have to worry about clicking on it from the front. And how to submit. Make sure you attach your file, submit right there. And the same thing will go for the Sedaris. Both the PDFs are there and you can write and submit right there. All right, guys, so any questions? Nicole, were you able to repost that information about the GroupMe class? GroupMe. Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nicole. All right, guys. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. If you have any questions about it, I know we went over a lot of stuff really quickly. Be sure to email me. Otherwise, I will see you guys on Wednesday, and it won't be as crazy, I promise. So let me know if you have any questions here. You can email me. Make sure you say bye before you go, and I will talk to you guys on Wednesday. Thank y'all so much for coming. Take care.